Hello, Radiant Leo, the Zodiac's born leader, the heart of fire. If you're here right now, a miracle is already in motion. And no, it's not luck. It's alignment. It's divine timing. Something bigger than you, yet deeply rooted within you, has guided you to this exact moment. Pause for just a second. Do you feel it? That quiet stirring inside you, that invisible tug on your heart that says, this week matters more than the others? Perhaps you've been seeing repeating numbers. Or having strange dreams. Maybe you've felt an urge to break free from something. Or someone. Whatever it is, Leo, it's not random. This is not just another horoscope reading. This is a soul message. One your spirit has been waiting for. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness. I'm so honored you're here. And this week's message is especially powerful. This is a deep, transformational reading created just for you, Leo, to guide you through a week of emotional rebirth, spiritual alignment, and cosmic opportunity. Between May 19th and 25th, something sacred is unfolding for you. A miracle is happening, one that you might not see coming, but you've already been calling in. Through pain or longing, through courage or silence. You've been manifesting this turning point all along. In this video, we'll journey through the signs, symbols, and synchronicities surrounding you. We'll explore the tarot messages that mirror your current path, decode the angel numbers whispering in your dreams, and tap into the cosmic blueprint that's lighting up your destiny right now. So take a deep breath, Leo. This is your time. Not to fight. Not to prove. But to remember who you are, and reclaim the power that was never truly lost, only waiting to rise again. And before we go any further, allow me to say this from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Every like, every comment, every moment you spend with this channel strengthens our soul circle. Your presence fuels eternal mindfulness. Your energy is why this message reached you in the first place. So thank you, not just for being here, but for trusting your intuition. For choosing to listen. For saying yes to your light, even when the world tried to dim it. And trust me, beloved Leo. You'll want to stay until the very end of this video. Because what the universe is about to reveal to you, it's not just inspiring, it's breathtaking. It could shift how you view your past, reclaim your present, and step boldly into what's next. Now let me ask you something. What inside you has been whispering, it's time? What truth has been waiting for your courage? Drop it in the comments, even if it's just one word. Your words have power. Your awareness is awakening. Let's begin this journey together. There comes a moment on every soul's journey when the pain no longer defines you, it refines you. In this part of your reading, we step into that exact moment. The presence of the Three of Swords alongside the Eight of Cups signals a chapter that your heart once wrote in tears, now being edited in courage. For Leo, a sign ruled by the sun, heartbreak doesn't extinguish your fire. It transforms it. Like the sun at dawn, you are rising from a place of darkness with even more brilliance, because now your light carries depth. What once pierced your heart did not break you, it carved space within you for more compassion, more wisdom, and more truth. And most importantly, it awakened your ability to choose again. What you are releasing now may not be visible to anyone else. Maybe it's an old story you've carried for years. I'm not enough. I have to earn love. I must be strong at all costs. These scripts are heavy. They live in your breath, your shoulders, your silence. But the Eight of Cups invites you to turn away from what no longer nourishes your spirit, even if it once felt like home. Walking away isn't failure. It's sacred clarity. It's that quiet knowing in your chest that says, I've learned enough here. Now it's time to heal. And healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about returning to your center. Imagine writing a letter to the version of you who endured all the pain. Not from resentment, but from reverence. Thank them. Release them. You can write every fear, disappointment, and regret onto paper, and when you're ready, let the fire take it, just as the sun burns away the night, not with hatred, but with inevitability. This symbolic ritual isn't magic, it's mindfulness in action. It's you affirming that who you were is not who you must remain. Your heart chakra, the energy center in the middle of your chest, may feel tender right now. That's not weakness. It's proof that something inside you is waking up again. Place your hand there. Breathe deeply into it. Feel the warmth return. In some ancient traditions, the breath is seen as a bridge, not between worlds, but between pain and peace. Try sun breathing. Inhale slowly while visualizing golden light filling your chest, and exhale anything heavy, gray, or tight. No forcing. No fixing. Just allowing. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to let go of the version of you who was just trying to survive. You don't need to fight anymore. That war is over. You can lay down the armor and choose softness without fear. Because softness, when chosen with awareness, is the truest strength. And if you've ever had to walk away from something that hurt, even though you still loved it, then you already know what courage feels like. You've already been brave. Maybe you didn't call it that at the time. Maybe you just called it getting through the day. But make no mistake, that was power. And now, you are remembering it. So, ask yourself gently, what pain have I mistaken for identity? What am I finally ready to lay down, not because it wasn't real, but because I'm ready to live free from it? The answers won't always come in words, sometimes they arrive in a shift of breath, a single tear, or a sudden calm that wasn't there before. Trust that. That is your inner light flickering back on. And no matter what your story has been, you get to write the next chapter with an open heart, not because it never broke, but because it healed wiser. You are not returning to who you were. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. Sometimes what binds us isn't a chain, it's a belief. One we've repeated to ourselves for so long, it no longer feels like a story, but a truth. That's the quiet prison the Eight of Swords speaks of. It shows up not to scold, but to shine a light on the invisible bars we've accepted around our thinking. These aren't walls built by others. They're often made from fragments of self-doubt, expectations we didn't agree to, or labels we silently wore because we thought they'd make us lovable, safe, or accepted. And yet, here you are, noticing them. Questioning them. Which means your fire is waking up. For Leo, whose soul is ruled by the sun, there is nothing more painful than shrinking to fit where you no longer belong. You were not born to live inside a mental maze of second-guessing, comparison, or apology. That's not humility, that's self-abandonment. The Eight of Swords is not just a card of entrapment, it's a moment of pause, of reckoning. It asks, what if you're not actually trapped? What if the door has always been unlocked, you just stopped looking for it? What makes this moment powerful is that you're being offered a sword. Not to harm, but to cut. A sword of clarity. A tool of release. It might come through a realization, a message, or a conversation you didn't expect, but it's coming. And it will ask you to choose. Do you want to remain hidden behind the opinions of others, or do you want to reclaim your own voice? The most radiant parts of you have waited long enough. They're not here to keep you warm in the safety of who you were, they're here to light the way into who you're becoming. There's a teaching, often overlooked, that says the mind can be both the source of bondage and the vehicle to liberation. What you feed it, thoughts, words, focus, becomes your experience. So ask yourself honestly, have I been watering doubt more than desire? Have I been rehearsing failure more than possibility? The law of attraction isn't about forced positivity, it's about conscious participation. You are not a passive character in your life. You are the author. The ink is still wet. You can rewrite the story. That's where numerology becomes an ally. The number 8, which repeats here, is not just a symbol of material abundance. It reflects personal power, karmic evolution, and the infinite loop between giving and receiving. 8 is the number of alignment, and this week, the universe is whispering it over and over, like a drumbeat beneath the surface of your daily life. Listen closely. Every 8 you see is a mirror reminding you, you were born to lead, not follow. You were born to stand in your truth, not shrink beneath someone else's comfort. So now I gently invite you to reflect, who or what is making you feel small lately? Whose opinion are you still carrying like a weight on your back? What story are you ready to outgrow, not with rage, but with peace? You don't need permission to take up space. You don't need validation to move forward. All you need is a moment of honest awareness and the willingness to cut the thread. And as you do, that fire inside you won't just keep you warm, it will guide you home. Liberation doesn't always come as a thunderstorm. Sometimes, it arrives as a breath, calm, clear, and full of quiet knowing. And if you're still here, reading these words, I trust that part of you already feels it rising. Sometimes what looks like a new beginning is really a return, not to who you were, but to who you were always meant to be. That's the energy of the Judgment card, especially when paired with the Ace of Pentacles. It's not a reset in the way we usually imagine, where we start over from scratch. Instead, it's more like waking up from a long dream where you'd forgotten your own power. You're not being asked to become someone else. You're being asked to remember, to reconnect with the clearest, strongest, and most aligned version of yourself, the one that existed before the world told you who you had to be. There is a beautiful teaching that says everything you need is already within you. But we forget. We carry stories, judgments, disappointments, like dust on a mirror that once reflected light so clearly. Judgment, in this reading, isn't about shame or punishment. It's about release. It's about shedding the outdated narratives and forgiving yourself for the time you spent stuck. Because now, you're at a threshold. A A doorway has opened. And the Ace of Pentacles is that quiet gift placed right into your hands. The opportunity, the idea, the new path that holds everything you've been silently asking for. But here's the catch: you must say yes to it. This moment is not accidental. The work you've done, healing, reflecting, letting go, has created space for something real, something grounded, something that will last. You are being offered a seed. And what that seed becomes depends on what you do with it. Will you plant it? Will you protect it from the noise of doubt and distraction? Will you water it with trust and action, even when results aren't immediate? Now is the time to take inspired steps. Look at the parts of your life that have felt stagnant and ask, what can I begin here? Maybe it's a new creative project, a business idea you've been holding back, or simply choosing to show up differently in your current work. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to start. And as you do, remember that your external life, your habits, your appearance, your space, is a reflection of your internal energy. This is not about vanity. It's about alignment. Sometimes even the smallest outward change, a wardrobe shift, a different morning routine, a tech-free Sunday, can help you step into a whole new frequency. You don't need to force anything. In fact, the deepest kind of progress often comes not from doing more, but from doing with intention. Make space. Clear the noise. Unplug. Give your mind time to rest, to hear itself, to reset its rhythm. There's wisdom that says clarity arises in stillness, not in chaos. And this week, giving yourself that stillness, even just once, could make all the difference. Let this be the moment where you stop apologizing for your power. Say it out loud if you need to, I'm not asking for permission to shine. I was born to. And when doubt creeps in, as it often does, meet it not with fear but with gentleness. Doubt is just the mind's way of testing your commitment. But your heart already knows the way. So if you feel the pull, the quiet invitation to step forward into this new version of your life, answer it. Not with pressure, but with presence. Because this isn't just a fresh start, it's a return to truth. And truth, once recognized, cannot be unremembered. Drop a comment if this message resonates with you. Say it proudly, I choose to step into my new destiny. When light intensifies, shadows become more visible. That's not a flaw in the light, it's part of its purpose. And as your energy expands, as your clarity sharpens, it's natural that some truths hidden in the background begin to reveal themselves. That's exactly what the moon and the lovers suggest here, a quiet unveiling, not to harm, but to awaken. Something is surfacing, perhaps in a close relationship, that requires your presence, not your panic. It could be a withheld truth, a silent pattern, or a long-standing assumption that's about to be seen for what it is. And while that revelation may stir discomfort, it also carries the potential for liberation. This moment doesn't call for reaction, it asks for reflection. Instead of rushing to conclusions or decisions, consider becoming still. Let the emotional waves rise without immediately swimming through them. Observe what they show you. So often, pain in relationships arises not from the act itself but from the gap between what we assumed and what was real. The Moon card invites you to notice that gap, to walk through it gently, with curiosity, not blame. Shadows lose power when held in the light of awareness. The Lovers reminds us that relationships are not just about harmony and union. They are also about choice. Choosing to stay conscious. Choosing to honor your needs. Choosing to define your boundaries not as barriers, but as invitations, clear signs of where love can meet you, and where it must stop. There is great compassion in a boundary that's delivered with love. It doesn't say, "I reject you." It says, "I respect myself." And when spoken from that place, even uncomfortable truths can become bridges instead of walls. In moments like this, clarity often arrives in silence. So instead of rushing to fix or explain, give yourself time. Step outside, under the moon if you can. Let that cool light fall over you. Let your breath slow. You don't have to have the answer yet. You don't even have to decide. Sometimes, just naming the feeling is enough. I feel uncertain. I feel unacknowledged. I feel overwhelmed. There is wisdom in identifying emotion without assigning blame. That simple act of naming is already a form of clarity. The energy of the moon is cyclic, not linear. It reminds us that healing is not about getting over something. It's about seeing it fully, understanding its weight, and choosing whether or not we still want to carry it. Sometimes, what's revealed now is not new. It's just something you weren't ready to see before. But you are now. And that's a powerful place to stand. In certain teachings, it's said that wisdom isn't found in avoiding difficulty, but in how we respond to it. When disappointment comes, it can be a mirror. Not to show us what's wrong with others, but to ask us what still needs truth within ourselves. Are we honoring our own boundaries? Are we expressing our needs clearly, or hoping others will read our silence? Are we staying because of love, or because of fear? This isn't about ending anything abruptly. It's about reclaiming choice, with kindness. It's about seeing your own light clearly enough to know when something dims it. And when that happens, you don't need to run. You need only to pause, to ask better questions, and to let your inner clarity guide you forward, one honest breath at a time. If you've ever felt confused or disappointed by the lack of transparency in a relationship, know that you are not alone. Your experience is valid. And your clarity, even if it comes quietly, even if it comes slowly, is enough. When energy moves, it speaks in symbols long before it speaks in words. And sometimes, what we call luck is really the result of subtle alignments, of numbers, colors, vibrations, coming into harmony with your current state of readiness. In this part of your journey, those alignments are showing up clearly. Whether through the glowing frequency of a color that keeps catching your eye or the repeated appearance of a certain number, the universe is speaking to you. And if you slow down, just enough, you'll notice how everything is pointing you back to your own center. This week, the energies around you are warm, fertile, and bold. Earthy copper and burnt orange tones are activating your creative fire, that deep, inner well where your imagination lives. These colors aren't just aesthetic, they stimulate your second chakra, the seat of sensuality, inspiration, and vitality. When balanced, this energy center helps you flow with life instead of resisting it. It gives you permission to feel joy without guilt, to express desire without shame, and to move with purpose that's not forced, but freely chosen. Dressing with intention, wearing colors that reflect the energy you wish to embody, isn't superficial. It's energetic alignment. It's choosing to meet life in resonance rather than resistance. Then comes gold, not just the color of royalty, but the embodiment of Leo's solar core. Gold doesn't whisper, it radiates. It reflects self-belief and confidence without needing to prove anything. When you surround yourself with gold, even in small touches, you're inviting that part of you to stand tall again, the part that shines effortlessly when it remembers it never had to compete to be enough. Gold reminds you that your worth is not situational. It's inherent. It was never lost, just forgotten under layers of self-doubt or external noise. And what about the numbers? They, too, have something to say. The repeated presence of 888 is especially significant now. It's a signal that energetic doors are opening, particularly in areas of material abundance and long-term stability. But it also carries a reminder: this is not a time for passivity. When 888 appears, it asks you to act. To move. To claim what's ready, not from desperation, but from clarity. Numbers like 1, 8, 19, and 25 are markers along this path, each with its own weight. The 1 is a beginning, the moment you say, I choose. The 8, again, doubles down on empowerment. The 19 brings a cycle to completion, while 25 signals change that's supported by deeper wisdom. When these numbers surface in your life, in timestamps, prices, receipts, or even in dreams, pause. Breathe. And ask, what am I being asked to notice right now? To align with these energies more intentionally, you don't need elaborate rituals. Begin with presence. Each day, take just a few moments to anchor your thoughts in a clear affirmation. 3 times a day, write or whisper, I am ready to become the most radiant version of myself. And when you pass a mirror, any mirror, pause and say, I don't need to be understood. I only need to be me. There's a quiet power in that kind of self-recognition. It's not about convincing the world. It's about remembering, again and again, that your light was never meant to be filtered through others' expectations. When we cultivate stillness and awareness, even the smallest signs begin to feel profound. And maybe that's the real jackpot, not a sudden miracle, but a slow, sacred awakening to how much support has always been here. How deeply life is rooting for you. And how ready you already are. If you're still here with me, truly here, with your heart open and your soul listening, then I believe something inside you has quietly nodded to the light within. Maybe it was just a moment, a single line, or a feeling you couldn't name. But something resonated. And that's not by chance. That's you remembering who you are underneath all the noise. Leo, your journey was never meant to be about being understood by everyone. It was about remembering that you didn't come here to be liked, you came here to lead. You didn't come here to dim down to make others comfortable, you came here to ignite the space around you. The truth is, you don't need to ask for permission to shine. You never did. But I know, sometimes the opinions of others wrap around us like ropes. Their doubts become our hesitation. Their silence becomes our shame. And before we realize it, we're shrinking ourselves to fit into expectations that were never ours to begin with. If that's been you, even just a little, let me remind you, you are not here to carry the weight of other people's projections. You are not here to make everyone happy. You are here to grow, to evolve, and to become so deeply rooted in your own truth that no one else's approval is needed for you to feel worthy. So this week, I invite you, no, I encourage you, to do one bold thing. Say no to something that makes you feel small. It doesn't have to be loud. You don't need to explain. But say no, even just quietly inside your chest, to anything that asks you to shrink, to betray your voice, to abandon your joy. And then, with that same energy, say yes to yourself. Yes to the version of you that is unapologetic. Yes to your creativity. Yes to your power. Yes to your peace. If you're wondering where to begin, start with this. What is one thing, just one, that you'll do differently this week to choose yourself? Maybe it's how you speak to yourself in the mirror. Maybe it's a boundary you hold. Maybe it's finally taking the first step towards something you've been dreaming about. Whatever it is, I'd love for you to share it in the comments. Not just for me, but as a declaration to yourself. What will you do this week to choose you? And while you're there, choose a word, just one, that you want to carry as your anchor for the days ahead. Confidence. Radiance. Strength. Freedom. Whatever word feels like it has a heartbeat. Leave it in the comments below, and let the energy of this community hold that word with you. Before we close, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up, not just here on this video, but in your own life. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe or share this space with someone you care about, it brings more light to this circle we're building together at Eternal Mindfulness. And it allows me to keep showing up with messages that hopefully speak to the most sacred parts of you. So as you move forward into your week, remember this: you don't need a miracle. You are the miracle. Keep rising. Keep choosing. Keep remembering. And I'll see you in the next reading, always right on time.